You're watching Tech Talk in affiliation with Tech for Techs. We're a community that supports independent trade with the help of vendors and distributors. We're live every Thursday at 8 p.m. London time, and we'll be streaming to Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, Google, TuneIn, and many more. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, and your host, Philip Griffiths.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Tech for Tech Tech Talk. This is a live show where we help your IT business grow. In the house today, we have VIP and some unknown new software company no one's ever heard of called Microsoft. Okay, so today's show is Turn It Up to 11. So first of all, if you can hear us and see us, please comment, because I don't just want to be talking to these three guys tonight, or two guys and girl, or woman, or however you want to pronounce it without me getting in trouble. So if you want to comment, let us know who you are, where you're from, and basically we'll give you a shout out. So first of all, we've got Richard in, we've got Cormac from Ireland, we've got Alex saying hello as well on YouTube, and we've also got Richard Creedy saying yes, he can see and hear us. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Richard, but we'll find out. And evening Paul at Neo Computers. So let's introduce everyone who's here. So we've got Dave, Justin, and Diana. Dave, if you want to introduce yourself first, let everyone know who you are, what you do, and where you work at, I suppose.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Dave. I'm business manager at VIP. So I've been at VIP for about 5 years. I'm run all the relationship with Microsoft, a few other brands as well. I also have a few product managers reporting to me. But in terms of Microsoft, I've been involved with the brand since before we were an authorized distributor. So I was involved in getting us on board with Microsoft from the very beginning, really. And I didn't deal with all the strategic planning, working out how we're going to keep growing the brand, working out how we work with all the smaller independent businesses like your customers, all the way up to some of the larger system integrators as well.
Okay, thank you for that. So basics, what you're saying is if today doesn't go very well, you're to blame. Is that what you're saying?
100%, yeah.
Right, okay, good. We've got someone to blame, and we won't mention anything about the other guy called David. Right, let's move on to Justin then. So Justin, if you want to introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are and where do you work.
Yeah, evening all. Justin Bedingfield. I am a category manager in Microsoft. We love acronyms, so Diana and I work in a team called the DPSS team, Device Partner Solution Sales, where we work is with, firstly, on the device side with a lot of our what we class as multinational accounts, so the M&As, HP, OEM, HP, Dell, Lenovo, and then also through the channel with our system building channels where people are building the devices and local partners, and obviously that's where we work a lot with Dave and the team at VIP.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Justin. Let's move over to Diana then. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and let us know where you work.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Phil. So my name is Diana. I am the Microsoft Commercial Trainer. I work with Justin, as he very well mentioned, and I work with the entire ecosystem that was mentioned already. And I've got a couple of products that I focus on, which are Windows, Office, and Server as well. But Windows is my favorite for this event.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's just quickly go through chat. So we've got a few people saying hi in chat. So we've got we've already done these guys. We've got Will I Am. So hello there, William. We've got Peter as well from Scan Station in Bognor Regis. We've got Alex. I'm pretty sure he works somewhere that I know of, that Alex guy. We've got Richard Tower Forth as well saying hi, an evening from Rich and Haley at Phase 4 in Harrogate. Yeah, I figured it out. Phase 4, yeah. So, yeah, I think we all need a bit more caffeine. I've had one of them days as well. So, right, okay, let's get on to the actual show then. So, let's start off with, I think it's yourself, Diane, who's going to be running us a presentation, and then we're going on to questions and answers. So if you guys do have any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll probably get to most of them after the presentation, because we may have to sort of supersize the presentation. Okay, but keep the questions coming in. So if you love Microsoft, if you hate them, if you love what they do, or there's something you don't like, or you want to ask whatever, well, now's your chance. You can't go and say that they never talk to you. They're right here in front of you now. So send those questions in. Right. So, Diane, if you want to get us started, are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, whenever you're ready, Phil.
Okay, here we go. And just turning chat off. There we go.
Perfect. Okay. So let me just bring the screen up. So as Phil already mentioned, and as you guys know, today's session is dedicated to Windows 11, and we have two fantastic products from the Windows 11 category that I'm going to talk about today. One of them is Windows 11 Home, and then the other one is Windows 11 Pro. And then towards the end, we'll dedicate some time to some questions and answers, because I'm sure there will be some questions on the back of this presentation. Being a brand new operating system, there's still a lot out there to answer, but I'm confident this is the operating system of the future, especially for hybrid. So Phil, let me know if it goes. I just need to sort of check if it goes into the next slide.
Yeah, it's gone over. Yeah. I can see Windows 11 Home. The PC is home for many.
The joys of working from home, you have to do a lot of testing and sort of preparation. Right, so I'll start with Windows 11 Home, and I think when I say Windows, a lot of people will find themselves looking a little bit back into the past and being a little bit nostalgic. It definitely applies to me. So my first ever PC was a Windows PC, and it was actually Windows 98, which was running in one of the school PCs, and I was really keen to go to school just so I could play around and I could play games on the Windows. And then my first personal machine was running a Windows XP. So this is all to say how Windows has been home for most of us, and it's been there for the entire journey. It started with the idea of bringing a PC within each home, and it continues to be that and way more. We have Windows within personal computing. We have Windows when you talk about work, when you talk about education, when we talk about everything. Windows is there to support us to work better, to collaborate better, to engage with the family, to just achieve more. So when we talk about Windows 11, there are Windows 11 Home, there are 4 pillars which I would like to mention here. Windows 11 brings us closer to the people that we love. It brings us closer to the passions. It brings us closer to the places that we love. And of course, it helps us achieve the power within us and achieve what we want. So let's look at the people aspect. And here I would say that one of the important elements would be the capability within Microsoft Teams and how we're able to collaborate better. I utilize Microsoft Teams to talk to my mom very often back in Romania. And this is one way I stay in touch with the people that I love by utilizing Windows. And Windows enables me to do all of that. So I can keep track of what we're talking about. We can share pictures. I can video call them. And it is, it is something that we access for free, and we can just collaborate in peace when we want. From a passion perspective, we have widgets and PC gaming. So looking at widgets, this is a fantastic way to prioritize your hobbies in a way. So Windows 11 has progressed from that operating system that would give you all the information in the world, and you will have to pick and choose what you want to look at. And I guess to a degree will bombard you with stuff. Now, and prioritize which hobbies you want to read more about, which are the news, which are your favorite things to look into, which are your passions altogether. Another one that goes into passion has to be, of course, PC game. So I think it was starting to repeat in there, but there is impossible to talk about Windows without mentioning the gaming. And of course, my first laptop had a game on which I utilized in 90% of the time. And I will tell my mom that I need a laptop to do homework. Of course, it was mainly for gaming. Moving on, we have places. And here we have the pen, touch, and voice, and then the Microsoft Store. So let's see from a pen, touch, and voice, the capabilities and the enablement that you get. The pen touch voice features have been enhanced with the power of Windows 11. So now you have better experience, better voice. You have features like emojis, and you have the ability to just scroll across the keyboard and it will automatically get the word that you're trying to say. So all of that is available because Windows 11 is not only providing you those features, but it also offers them an enhanced version of them. So this is an example of how you can sort of hover across the keyboard. These are emojis, but probably the super cool one is dictation.
Windows 11 is so good at recognizing what you're saying. And it can automatically punctuate your sentences. Cool, right? And there are voice commands. Delete that.
Cool. So that is another way to quickly sort of get the work done, or just dictate to your machine what you want to say instead of having to type it in. And for me, it's really useful as well. I do use that on a daily basis. Once, because probably I'm a little bit lazy, and secondly, because I'm not English by, my background is Romanian. So there's certain words which I don't really know how to spell. So I just dictate to my laptop, and my laptop is like, don't worry, I got it. I got your back. Another one is Microsoft Store. So the idea with Microsoft Store is not only to give you just the apps that you need, but to combine everything that you would need from an experience perspective. So you can utilize to download your apps, but also you can utilize it to watch your favorite media, like the super cool movie, which I hope you've seen.
Not seen that one.
This is our only chance.
Me too.
We have to take it.
You said you've seen the movie.
I said, not seen that one, sorry. Well, I've seen one of the Godzilla ones. I can't remember which one it was, but not that one. Just before you go any further, if anyone's finding the videos a little bit choppy or stuttery, it's nothing to do with, obviously, Windows 11. It's to do with the stream. Obviously, all the different streams going together, it can make things a little bit choppy now and again. So if it does seem a little bit choppy, that's why.
Yes, nothing.
I'll let you get back to it, Diana.
Thank you for that. Yeah, 100%. And to go back to the movie, I think it is a super cool sort of experience to have it all through your store. So I have it all combined in my store, and when I'm in the mood to watch a movie, I just go through Microsoft Store and I project it onto my TV. Moving on, we have Power, and here we have new design and tools, and also we have Snap layouts. So from a new design and tool perspective, I would like to say that Windows 11 is being created to help you collaborate better, work better, talk to your family better, prioritize things, enjoy your spare time. But it's not changed from the familiarity that we used to offer with all beautiful operating systems that we had in the past. So from a user interface perspective, you don't need a tutorial to be able to figure out Windows 11. I've just simply switched from Windows 10 to Windows 11, and I naturally knew where to go and what to get. There's just a lot of other elements which made my life better, and these are some of the ones that we'll go through right now, and then we'll cover a couple of them with Windows 11 Pro as well. So from a design perspective, it does look and feel better, refreshed, and is more focused to help you do the things that you love to do. And here is a super cool feature which is called Snap Layouts, and I personally absolutely love this because it not only allows you to simply split your screen. It has been, around with Windows 10 as well, but it was a little bit different, the experience. You had to drag and drop the window and so on. Now you just do it simply and you split it in 6 different ways, and then you will remember it as a group. So as you can see in the bottom, whenever you go back group, it will remember the layouts that you want to, and we will see a little bit how you can use that for work as well. So Windows 11 Home, and the aim for that was to first of all make sure that people are not limited in any way when they want to do the things that they love, when they want to talk to the dear ones, when they want to spend time with their passions, when they want to spend gaming. We want to put no limitation to that. And it started with the idea of putting a personal computing into everyone's home, and it became so much more than that. Now we have technology in Windows PCs everywhere, from entertainment, from education environments. You look everywhere and you will probably find a Windows machine there powering people and enabling us to do the things that we love. And speaking about work environment and how Windows 11 enables us to work better and quicker, especially in a hybrid way on the back of the past 3 years, here I'm going to talk a little bit more around Windows 11 Pro. So this is a slide, not to remind us how old we get, because I'm pretty sure we'll all remember the older icons, and we think, wow, I didn't even realize there's been so many changes in the meantime. This is to kind of focus and clarify why Windows 11 had to come up, because a lot of people said, you promised Windows 10 is the last operating system, and now you're bringing out a new operating system. The reason is, every single time there's been a transition in the way technology works, it wasn't because, it came from us and we wanted to confuse everyone. It was because the society changed and things progressed and people work different. If we would be to work still on 1995 version, we'll probably struggle here and there. Security has to progress. Everything else has to progress as well. Windows 11 is designed for hybrid work. Hybrid work was pretty much pushed onto us over the past 3 years on the back of the pandemic. We did not see that coming, so we had to prepare the technology to be able to respond to that. For that, we had to have a more secure operating system, and an operating system that enables us to work in a hybrid way, to make the best of working either in the office or at home or in both worlds. But speaking about the hybrid work, we conducted some studies, and we realized that 70% of the people that we asked said that they love the flexibility, and I'm one of them. I love to work in the office when I need to be in the office, but equally I enjoy working from home. Also, 60% of the same amount of people said that they also like the in-person collaboration and interaction. Those two things, there is an overlap in there, which we call the hybrid work paradox. Being able to allow people to work in a hybrid way, to work from home, but at the same time not to limit collaboration into any sort of manner. And going back to hybrid work, and if you guys remember when we had to transition into working from home, which was a fairly new concept for a lot of companies out there were a lot of challenges. It wasn't just a smooth transition where we were like, right, we're just gonna go to work from home and everything is going to be just like rainbows and unicorns. No, it was not like that, right? So we had to overcome a lot of challenges, and depending on the role that you had within a company, those challenges could be huge. Like if you were an IT manager or a business decision maker or within the purchase environment, you had to quickly think about a way to enable people to work from home and have the right tech. And loads of companies were not still ready for it. They were still running on very old Windows PCs, the ones that are clunky, and they're on a desktop, and they're probably from 1995, maybe not that old, but still they're not able to just quickly go in and take their monitors and go from the office to home and then the other way around. So they had to quickly figure out the way to enable this work from anywhere. Maybe purchase new infrastructure, maybe purchase new servers, maybe allow that infrastructure to allow people to work from everywhere. We didn't have it easy either, did we? So when we think about our own experiences and users, how was working from home for us? We had to shift from the peace and quiet of an office environment to suddenly balancing kids in the background. And every time I join a session, I have to check if my cats are around, because they tend to jump from my wardrobe straight into my keyboard. It was not some natural process that we were used to. So working from home became a little bit stressful at the times. Collaboration. If collaboration before the pandemic was an option, we might have had Microsoft Teams in place, but we were only using it now and then. During the pandemic, it was a must. Otherwise, you're not able to complete your work, right? And one of the most important, if not the most important aspect, is security. Over the past 2 years, the security attacks have increased with 400%. And I don't think there is a question why. People started to work from home, and they no longer had the umbrella of security that they would benefit from in an office. In an office, the IT infrastructure would probably be very strong, and you'll have a lot of firewalls and systems in place. When you would transition into working from home, and you would probably use the same password for your Netflix as you would be for your emails, things started to be a little bit more challenging and vulnerable. But don't worry, for all of that, we do have Windows 11, and these customer challenges that I just presented were the main drivers for this beautiful operating system. Windows 11 is powerful for employees, is consistent for IT, and it is secure for all. And if you don't believe me, I got 4 main points to prove that. So Windows 11 is productive, and it helps us be more productive. It is collaborative, it is consistent, and it is more secure. And I've got a couple of sort of features to go with each and every single one of them. Let's start with collaboration. So here, this is all about how you work as an individual and how you make your life better. If you think about the time when you transition from work into the office, in my case, for example, I did not have an external monitor. It was just me and my laptop, and I needed an external monitor just to be able to run presentations like I'm doing right now. So I had the power of Snap, and I had the ability to shift from multiple desktops. And this was one of the way that the operating system enabled me to work in a hybrid way better. Collaboration and the integration with Microsoft Teams. Who remembers all the embarrassing videos that were all online on YouTube with people forgetting to mute themselves, or people forgetting to take their camera off, and there's all sorts of stories. So this is one of the joys of working from home, right? And we made the integration with Microsoft Teams better from that perspective. So you can mute and unmute yourself from the taskbar. You can simply share regardless of where you are. So if you are in a PowerPoint presentation, if you are in the browser, it's just a quick and simple transition. Consistent. This is a very important aspect. So one of the concerns from our customers was that, right, this is a new operating system, which means myself as an IT manager, I have to forget everything that I knew so far about an operating system from a deployment perspective, management perspective, and I had to learn a whole new process. That's not the case. That's not what Windows 11 is going to do to you. So Windows 11 is built on the same OS as Windows 10. So for the IT people, things are familiar. Things are where they know them. They're still in place. Another concern that the IT guys had was the apps. What about the app compatibility? If an app is compatible with Windows 10, it should be compatible with Windows 11 as well, unless the app developer puts something in place, which is usually not the case. But the apps should be compatible, and we offer something called Aperture as well to give you peace of mind. And then for me, I think security is one of our superpowers as Microsoft, and we wanted to include this as a default element with the operating system as well. So here you have something called Xero Trust, which is something powered by MFA, multi-factor authenticator, through one of our services. And the way that works, because when you work from home, you log into your device and then you forget about it, and then you use the same credentials, and those credentials can be lying on a piece of paper on your table, and you forget about it, and you live in a restaurant. Either way, credentials can be compromised. So if you have something like Xero Trust security in place, what Xero Trust will do with the power of MFA, it will analyze you and think about that the credentials won't be enough. So it will give you no trust whatsoever until you actually prove that you is you, until you prove that John is John. And it does that by analyzing your location. So if you log right now from London, and then in 5 minutes you log from New York, then the Xero Trust security clicks on the fact that you might not necessarily be you and someone else is trying to impersonate you and go to that data. It analyzes the routes that you normally take. And just because you logged in with your user in your credentials, it doesn't mean that's all the security that you should put in place to be protected with the operating system. And this is one of the ways that we're trying to make the operating system more secure. So to put the features into perspective, we've got for productive, we have things like Snap Assist and widgets and the integration with voice typing and the tablet experience. And then you have the ability to share things from taskbar with the collaboration. And then it is consistent for IT, as I said, so you can have peace of mind. You don't have to transition into a whole new operating system from a management and deployment perspective. Things are the same. They're still as easy and familiar as we'd like them to be. And then we added a lot of security features. But these are not all the features. So if you guys know, 2 days ago, we had a super cool launch where we added way more features specially designed for hybrid work. And we made Windows 11 even better for this hybrid work era that we work in. I do not have them on a slide. However, I have a super cool video, which I would like to share with you with those features that I mentioned. I was super excited about this launch. I watched it the other day, and I think safe to say both myself and the rest of the team, we were all glued to our monitors just watching Panos Panay presenting the super cool new features. And it's really, for me, it's really empowering, and is what motivates me in my job. It's really empowering to see how technology helps us achieve more and work better as individuals and as organizations as well. So that's something that really, really excited me when I sort of watched that video. So we talked about the product. We talked about Windows 11 Pro, and I think now it is important to classify the kind of customers that we will have sitting in front of us, and it is important to know how we structure our conversations based on the role, because Different people will be interested in different things. So here we have the IT decision makers, we have the business decision maker, and we have the end user. You'll talk to either one of those three guys or all of them if you're in a position. With the IT decision maker, there are a couple of things that you can talk to them. You can talk to them about security and zero trust and multi-factor and all of those sort of techie aspects, because they'll get them, they'll understand, and they will understand the value in them. You can also talk to them about how easy and familiar Windows 11 is, with Windows 10 being built on the same OS, and with the management and deployment being familiar. And then you can talk to them about how they can safely and securely enable the workers to work in a hybrid way. Moving on, we have the business decision makers, or the guys with the money, or the guys who make the big decisions. So they will be interested to talk about things like collaboration, how their team can be more productive, how they can collaborate better, and ultimately about profitability, because when you offer someone the latest technology and the best tools to work, of course they will succeed. And the last category is the end user. Now, in the consumer environment, and the end user is, of course, the focus. He will be the one who makes the decision, and he will be the one who makes the purchase. In the commercial environment, we're starting to see the end user coming in recently. Beforehand, we had the IT decision maker and we had the business decision maker, and the end user kind of had no choice but to go with the technology that is given. But these days, as an end user, you have all the rights in the world, if you're using Windows 11 on your home device, to go to the IT decision maker or to the business decision maker and say, hey, I love this. I feel how I can be more productive on my work machine, and I feel how I can really be empowered to work better. So how about we roll this and we have that on our work devices as well? With the end user, you can talk about things like productivity, how the operating systems are familiar, because there will be a lot of similarities between Windows 10 and Windows 11, how they can work better in a remote way, but also how it reduces the cognitive load. If you have a look across Windows 11 as an operating system altogether, you'll see that it feels fresh, and it feels like it doesn't bombard you anymore with information like it used to happen. We're bombarded with information on a daily basis when we watch the news, when we turn on our phones. Windows 11 is designed to allow you to work better and focus on what you really need to do instead of just bombarding you with stuff. So those three aspects would be ideal to take in consideration when you talk to the IT decision maker, the business decision maker, and to end user. And the way you tailor your conversation to each and every single one of them is very, very important. So what does that mean from a commercial perspective? The launch of a new operating system doesn't only stop there, right? It is a beautiful operating system. It is amazing and enables you to work better. But we want to offer our consumers and customers and people out there the entire experience. And the way to offer that is by pairing a super cool operating system with the latest devices, or with a device capable enough to handle that, and we'll go to that in a second, with the best services and products from our partners, and also with something like Microsoft 365 or those productivity services, which allow the customer to get the experience all together. So here are some of the ways Windows 11 can help you guys achieve more on the back of the launch. So it isn't just about encouraging people to upgrade, but it is about accelerating device refresh and upsell. It is about the opportunity to talk about cloud-based deployment and management and support that you can offer. Then we can talk about the security services which are in place. And of course, we can talk about the whole higher value subscription revenue streams that you might have at hand. So I mentioned about the device being capable to run Windows 11. I'm not saying, it has to be the latest device that was launched with the latest specs and the best graphics card and the highest processor on the market. I'm saying a device good enough to be able to run those things, because Windows 11 will enhance your touch, your pen, the collaboration, the camera will be better, you will get more power, you'll get more security, but you will need to have some minimum spec requirements in place to be able to handle all of that. One of them is the TPM 2.0 chip. So the TPM 2.0 chip is probably one of the most responsible ones for security. If you want to have a secure enough device, you will have to have the TPM 2.0. It is a pretty standard thing with the fairly new devices, I would say probably up to 5 years, depending, but it is not, an excessive request to have. TPM was the TPM chip was around the Windows 10 as well, so we still had to have a TPM chip in place to have Windows 10. And sometimes you have it and you only have to enable it, so it's not a case of just purchasing a TPM or anything like that. Most of the times you should have it in place. If you don't know whether a device is capable or not to upgrade to Windows 11, you can go into Microsoft.com/Windows 11 specifications, and it will prompt you, first of all, with those minimum requirements. And secondly, there is an app called PC Health Check, which will run a test and it will tell you, yes, you can do it, or no, you cannot do it yet. Speaking of devices, we are ready to power up loads of brand new devices on all the categories that we offer, whether we talk about premium, security, detachables, mainstream, or value. There are super cool devices coming up, and our OEM partners will also help us to power new devices with Windows 11 just to help people work better in a hybrid way. And I cannot stretch this enough. Regardless of what sort of license you're using, regardless of what sort of Windows 11 product you're using, whether it's Home, whether it's Pro, whether it's the one for education, it is important to make sure that it is a genuine type of software, because there are massive risks that come with purchasing non-genuine software. So a couple of the risks here are, of course, that the experience altogether, it is not the same. You can get all sorts of unwanted advertising programs while you're running and working in peace. Another one, and these are all super important, here we're going to compromising your company security and your customer security as well. And they don't even know, the customers don't even know sometimes that you might be running on a non-genuine software, and they have all the trust that that doesn't happen. So there are programs that will either steal your credentials or your passwords, and if they cannot do that, they will just record the keyboard use. And if you think about that, you are processing customer data, you're processing card details, you're processing all sorts of important data, GDPR. If you don't process it through a genuine platform, through genuine software, then it means you're compromising not only yourself, but the customer as well. And that can cost you way more than the price that you're saving when purchasing non-genuine software. So this is something that we also work really, really high on, but I would like to stretch this enough because it is important, first of all, to educate the customer. So I also like to do a bit of a summary at the end of my session. So in conclusion, if you take 3 things today from this presentation, these are the 3 things that I would like to highlight about Windows 11 Pro. Windows 11 is designed for hybrid work, and it is the most productive and secure version of Windows yet. It is built on the same foundation as Windows 10, so things should be familiar for the IT from a management, deployment perspective, apps, and so on. The transition should be really, really smooth. And Windows 11 is so much more than just the operating system, because it opens the world to a whole new series of conversations that you can have with your customers. Whether you talk about attach, whether you talk about services, and so on. So always think about the entire experience. And that's it from me. Now it's time for Q&A.
A good idea for turn my microphone back on. I think that's the statement for the last couple of years. Right, here we go. So Q&A, I think this is the bit what a lot of people have been waiting for, because I've got a hell of a lot of questions. So let's just go through chat first for everything we just, while everyone, or what we've missed basically while the presentation's been on. So let me just put the chat back on the side. So if anyone's got any new comments, feel free to put them into the chat. Any questions you want to know about Microsoft, you got, I don't know, advice or questions, whatever, feel free to ask. Let me just go through a few of the ones what went through while the presentation was on. So we've got, I'll just say hi to Alex at MP Computers. We've also got Richard Creedy talking about Windows 3.11. I think that was probably my first experience as well, was 3.11. Probably find anyone who was born in the last 20 years is going, what the hell is Windows 3.11? But yeah, things have changed a little bit. So they're probably the same people who don't know what a floppy drive is. We've also got an evening, everyone, as well. We've got a few more comments about Windows 3.1. Someone's asking, bring back 3D Space Pinball. Oh, yeah, I used to like the 3D Space Pinball, to be honest with you. So that's pretty good. We've got Justin also saying, separate desktops also helping me a lot to keep personal and work separate with a quick switch between the two. I must admit, that's something I use quite a bit myself. Obviously, if you don't know, I've got the two businesses. So we've got the retail store. We've also got, obviously, Tech for Techs, which is this. We've got the live show, and we'd like to keep things different. And then I've also got Tech Max coming up. I tend to keep a different desktop setup for each of the things, so I can swap between them. And then I've even got one set up for gaming. I think that's the least used one these days, to be honest. I don't get time for it. But basically, you can swap between them all. And then using features like OneDrive and stuff, you can share all that stuff between different machines, which is absolutely brilliant. Right, so let's go to the live chat first, and then we'll go to the other questions we've got, what's coming in. So I think Carl's got a whole essay written out for us here. Let's have a look. In recent years, it seems our MS are using end users to test their software updates instead of being tested before release. Why is this? We support a number of business critical applications for end users, and I'm finding that updates are, let me just find the updates are routinely breaking these applications. We need to be able to have proper control over if and when updates are installed. I won't go all the way through it, but he's had issues with CCTV systems and so forth with it. So I don't know who's going to answer that one, but I'll leave that for you guys to argue over. You might want to turn your microphone on, Justin. Yeah. He's gone quiet now. He doesn't want to answer. He's going to put it all on you, Diana.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Justin can support with this one. So Justin, please don't let me down. Because whenever I hear anything about updates or Microsoft updates, I just, go into a shell.
Is that better now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you. Now.
Sorry. So yeah, I think it's a great question from Carl. I think that there's a few bits, Carl. We tend to test everything internally. Internally, there's something called dog food. So when a new operating system comes out, rest assured that the 100,000 people in Microsoft and beyond have been using the operating system for a few months before it gets anywhere near even if you sign up for the insider views, even before then, people in Microsoft have tested it. And then the other bit that Diana actually mentioned in her presentation was, historically, that has been an issue for us, and that's why this time round, the back end of Windows 11 is based off the same architecture as Windows 10, with the aim that, therefore, app compatibility, device, peripherals, and all these things should be more than able to run on Windows 11 versus Windows 10. So we are expecting it to be far less of an issue than any previous, say, Windows 7 or Windows 8 to Windows 10 jumps. I don't know the specific scenarios of CCTV systems in terms of whether there's anything specific about those, but I would have thought that would be fine. And then in terms of the management of the systems, it probably really just depends on how those systems are being run and how they're being managed, in terms of obviously whether there's control. Whether you saw the announcements the other day, as we go forward with some of our solutions in terms of Windows updates coming forward that will be yearly, we're introducing something called, that I think loads of people have used in the past, rings, so whereby you can set to test it on a few people first, and then when that works, go out wider. So we are listening to all the feedback. We think we've based it off Windows 10, which should alleviate most of the issues. The stat that I saw internally was that when we've tested it and with some major partners, we're getting over 95% apps that work on Windows 11 that worked on Windows 10. And then, as Diana said, there's something called App Assure, where you can log something to say, actually, if something doesn't work, then we'll try and remediate that with you. So, great questioning and great feedback from the past. We think we listened, and we think we've tried to make sure that we improve it this time round.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good answer to that question. I'm getting a bit of feedback from you, Justin. I'm just going to turn you off and turn you back on again. Just one second. There we go. Yeah, I think his screen's frozen. Yeah, he's getting a lot of feedback there, so I've had to disable his microphone for a second. It's as if his speakers are high or something. I'm not sure exactly, but it was fine before the show. But that's how things go. I'll turn him back on when we need him to answer. Right, okay, so let's go on to the next one. So Alex is saying, will the requirements to run Windows 11 on older hardware? I'm asking, will that change? I think the question. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know who wants to answer that.
I think one for Justin again.
Let's see, Justin.
Is that any better? Or?
Yeah, you suddenly sound better now. That's a lot better.
Perfect. So yeah, so it's not going to change in terms of the backwards compatibility in terms of the requirements for TPM, etc. As Diana mentioned, we believe that most devices from within the last 4 years will be compatible with Windows 11, and we can't guarantee all, but most will. The bit that's interesting in that is our learning is that TPM 2.0 is on a lot of devices. It's just not switched on. So if you follow through the routes, if you've got a device from the last 4 years, then you should be able to upgrade, and it will talk you through. Either you go to HP or whoever it may be, and it will talk you through how to turn on TPM 2.0, and then you should be able to upgrade. So if you get the reminder come through to say your device is ready, then go through that process and check first, and then it should enable you to switch on 2.0. If it's older than, it's likely if it's older than 4 to 5 years old, that it won't have the requirements. And to be clear, the reason we've upped the requirements here is, as Diana talked through, we want to make sure that people get the best experience, are secure, and can get the outcomes that they want from working with their Windows device. So that's why we've upped the requirements. We want to make sure people on Windows 11 have the best experience possible.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Let's go on to the next one. We've got Richard Creedy sort of defending you, saying, to be fair, they can't test every conceivable configuration. It's true. How many machines are running Windows these days? Is it about 5 billion or something like that? So I suppose even 0.01% is still a good few million mistakes sometimes. But yeah, it's you can't be perfect every single time, I don't think. So next we've got Carl saying, Windows 11 during the out-of-box experience, obviously when you're setting it up, why are we forced to use a Microsoft account, especially when setting it up on a customer's behalf? I must admit, I've had this issue. Customers never remember the passwords, especially elderly ones, so trying to get through this can be a pain. There are ways around it. Most techs probably know what they are, but they're not straightforward, and if you don't know, you've got to set up a Microsoft account, which is not the best, is basically what he's saying. Who wants to answer that one?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's maybe a difference between Windows and Office, but yeah, it's because then we have the ability to then make sure that how it's set up is set up right. We want to follow it through. We want to be able to try and communicate in the right way with people. So it's much more of a, how do we understand the device? How do we manage it? How can we support people better? Is the fundamental piece around the Microsoft account piece. I get that it can be a frustration. I did think, and I may need to go away and check, at least from my other hat, which is Office, you can set up Office and stuff like that with different types of email accounts. Windows account is slightly different for the setup, but it's more to make sure that we can understand and support the customers that then choose Windows in the right possible way.
It also has something to do with the way you would manage the device. So Autopilot and all of those management elements, they would need a Microsoft account to use that. So when you log into, if you have a device and you log into your machine and you use your Microsoft account, when you actually start utilizing the device, the experience is all complete because of the credentials that you put in the first place. So this is one way for us to make sure that this is how we would set the device further. If it's with an account that we don't really know that if it's valid or is tested or is not compromised, then it is a little bit harder. But to a degree is to allow us or to allow the companies to also manage those devices in case they use Autopilot or modern endpoint management and so on.
Yeah, and just to add, Phil, I just read Carl's question properly. We have had a lot of instances in the past. This is actually on the consumer side as much as the commercial side, where it is set up at like a tech bench. People do forget it. And it's a security thing to make sure that the person whose device that is has the control over the access or not, and getting into the device and logging in. It's partly a security piece in terms of making sure that we used to have that loads of devices were set up by, say, the same tech bench in retail, and then it would go out and then nobody would remember their password. So it's a security and a control point of view from an end customer point of view that also drove it, not just from our side. It's that piece to make sure that people log in the correct way. Obviously, in an ideal world, as Diana talked through, people would log in for the first time as themselves. They'd use Windows Hello. They'd get the security straight off, and that's then all linked to that. Them setting up with their own Microsoft account and the face recognition or fingerprint recognition, whichever the device can do. So we want to make sure straight out of the box it's secure. And if anybody did listen to the piece the other day, it's all about now this concept of Xero Trust. So how do you go from original setup and chip straight all the way through to cloud to be secure on that device? It's the number one thing that actually people ask Microsoft for, is to say we need it to be as secure as possible.
Okay, that sounds like a decent answer there. So again, Richard, well, probably to Microsoft it's a swear word, but Apple also require macros to be set up with an Apple ID now as well. So yeah, I think a lot of devices are the same, but I do know it does make it difficult, especially for people with disabilities or elderly, especially when they forget passwords left, right, and centre. That's the biggest issue we get, and not everyone's got a webcam on the PC, so they can't do Face ID and stuff like that. So I can understand where they're coming from there. Right, next question I've got is, what do Microsoft do about non-genuine software?
Yeah, no, we get this one a lot. So there's a few. Obviously, we work with every channel and our partners to make sure that the message in terms of the benefits of genuine that Diana talked about earlier on. We work strongly with any device partner and device build to make sure devices are coming with non-genuine. And then the bits that we do, whether people think we do enough or visible enough, as Microsoft, we tend to do stuff, but we won't ever shout widely about what we do. So some of the programs that we have is we will work with specific marketplaces. So hopefully anybody on this call would have seen over the last few years, Amazon has improved in terms of what's genuine versus what's not. We have a process with them, and then we have a team within Microsoft that then will monitor other marketplaces and anything that's suspicious. Obviously, as people hopefully can imagine, there are hundreds upon thousands across the world of different places that pop up selling one or two pieces. We will never get round to investigate all, but we will investigate where we see something that's in volume and different to what we would expect, different prices. We will then do like test purchase, and that will go through a specific team to review the test purchase, see where the licenses have come from, and we will follow up. We often will have a number ongoing. Even in the UK, we'll have a number of investigations ongoing at any one point in time. We hardly ever will disclose how many, how often, and where. So we can't give you data and stats, but rest assured we do. And then we also rely on, and maybe people on the call here feed it into the other, we rely a lot on those flags to come to us from our partners and our customers to come through, and then we feed that into that team. They will then review and then decide which ones they will follow up. Obviously, the larger the volume, the more likely is that we will do test purchases, and test purchases happen on an ongoing basis, and then we will follow up through that route. So we do a fair amount. As Microsoft, we won't ever tend to go into the news or whatever and publicize exactly what we do. We prefer to work with people when we find out that they're doing stuff that maybe we wouldn't like, and that's purely because, as Diana said, there's lots of miscommunication and misunderstanding. So we don't ever go through the process to say we're going to assume somebody's purposefully done something wrong. We want to work with them to understand what and why, and then see if we can work through that with them, rather than going heavy fist all the time.
Right, okay, that answers that question.
Just
Following
to add,
on
Phil,
to that,
Phil,
sorry?
there. Just to add, Phil, from the VIP side, obviously, Justin's got his Microsoft hat on, and he's got to tread carefully on the Microsoft compliance side of things. If you do come across any non-genuine suppliers, we do work with Microsoft. Like Justin was saying, they can't often talk about all the stuff they do, but we do work very closely with them. There is a reporting link on VIP Tech. You do need to log in, but there's no requirements before you have to log in, and it is anonymized, any reports you give us, and it is more about finding the people who are supplying these keys on those sites like eBay or the other sites that we all know the names of, where they're providing these obviously non-genuine, too good to be true pricing, with the risks like some of them won't work, or some of them are so obviously illicit or in some way. Just let us know, because there is stuff happening, and as Justin said, but Amazon used to be rife. Amazon used to be absolutely terrible for it, and now it isn't. It's like you can hardly find anything non-genuine on Amazon now, and it does change, but it takes time. It's like playing whack-a-mole, and it takes a long time to sort it out, but it does get done. But it gets done quietly. I think the frustration for everyone in particularly your space, the small medium business space, when you're seeing these keys out there, you're like, is anything ever happening? Because nothing gets shouted about, but it does happen. We do see stuff happening. You just have to, like, I don't want to say have faith, but it does get dealt with. But please do let us know if you see anything, because you're more likely to see it than we are. So and the more reports we get, the more useful it is as well.
Right, okay, I think that answers that one. Next question, again, it's regarding this, is how do you determine if it's genuine or not? Because, for example, I've got a few questions regarding exactly the same, and I've had this experience myself, is if you go and buy one of these keys, let's say off of eBay, or one of these places what seem to email us 2-3 times a day, or even we had one in the post, and most of the repair shops I know in the UK got this a few days ago, giving £25 voucher. Basically, how do we know if it's genuine or not? Because if we go onto the Microsoft and put the license key in and submit it, it says, oh, it's digital and it's genuine. And if you do have an issue and you call Microsoft support up with the phone number what they provide, they say, oh yeah, it's genuine, even though you're saying it's not. So might be difficult for you to answer, but how do we determine if it's genuine or not? I know you go by these things, yes, ridiculous pricing and so forth, but sometimes you can go, and again, eBay, Amazon, different places, you can buy the OEM packs for as little as £20-30, where we have to go to a distributor and spend £100 plus on them. So what's the difference?
So the first...
Sorry, go for it.
No, Dana, you go ahead.
I just wanted to say that to identify if something is not genuine is actually pretty easy. So one of the things that you guys said is if it's too good to be true, probably it's too good to be true. It doesn't mean it is not genuine. It could mean that it wasn't purchased in a genuine way in the first place. So you, by purchasing something like that, you're pretty much encouraging the whole chain of non-genuine. Maybe someone at the end of the chain has purchased this license in a non-genuine way, and then you're selling it on eBay. So, or it could be, false advertising. You could say that it's the complete program, or it could be the refurbished version. It takes many, many different aspects. It looks in many, many different ways, and there are actually ways to spot when a license is genuine or non-genuine, whether it's in a virtual form or in a physical form. But I think the number one would be that when the pricing is too good to be true, do you really want to expose yourself to risks of finding out how bad it is and where the problem is? Do you really want to install it on your machine and find out, does it have viruses, or has it been purchased in a non-genuine way? How much does it cost for you as an organization or as a business to compromise the customer data just to test if something that's half of the price on eBay is going to be genuine or not? But yeah, I hope that's something that would help. I think, Dave, you want to say something as well. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think it's a very similar point, really. It's too good to be true. It is too good to be true. And yeah, non-genuine does cover a broad spectrum. So it's from another region as well. And that can mean what looks like an English copy of Windows 11 is actually a Dutch one. And while you can, or any other language, Polish, Slovakian,
Yeah.
and while you can change the language to English, the default language on that setup is going to be the foreign language, which is not great for, I know, a lot of your end users who rely on you guys to do tech support. If anything goes wrong, it's going to default to the foreign language, which doesn't look very professional. And there's little things like that it's like, it doesn't seem very important, but we know that in terms of when you're dealing with an end user, they take it very seriously. And I've seen Paul in the comments has said there's a lot of them on not well-known marketplaces. That's exactly the sort of thing we'd love you to let us know about, because they're the things we might not see, and particularly in distribution space where we don't deal with it. So if you send us like a link or a screenshot or anything like that, if you can do it, report it on VIP Tech, or you can have a chat to a VIP account manager. Just send us a link there, and we can deal with it. But we do speak directly to Microsoft. We collate them and send a report to Microsoft every month, and it does get looked into. It does get addressed, but it's slow and it's quiet. And I know it's not what people want to hear, but that is how it works.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Right, so as you can see, the comments, we've got a few coming in. We've got one here saying there is more than 1,000 listings on Amazon for Microsoft Office right now. Prices start around £20. When I go to the customer and quote them 10 times that, they think I'm trying to rip them off. I've had this experience as well. I get it on a daily basis. People have bought things before, and if they get a new PC and you say, oh yeah, Windows Home's like 120, 30 quid or whatever it is, Pros 150, 60 or whatever, and they'll go, oh yeah, but I've gone and bought it from Amazon, eBay for like 10 quid in the past, whatever, never had a problem with it. And I must admit, obviously we've reviewed products, we compare them, and we have done shows and tests, and these licenses work. And even though I've got the genuine license stuck on the side of the machines, some of them are using these eBay, Amazon licenses with no problem. Now, you mentioned that, obviously you don't know what software is included, but most of these licenses direct you directly to the Microsoft website to download the ISO or the installation media. So you're not using fake software as such, you're using Microsoft software, and its own software is saying it's genuine. So how do you go about telling a customer that we're not ripping them off, even though they're 100% sure that you are? Oh, Justin's gone quiet. One sec. Try that again, Justin.
Sorry. Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah. This is a really tough one for us, because what Microsoft tends to do is assume that good intentions on the end purchaser. So what you find with most of those is it's actually mislicensed. So it may be originally have been genuine, but it's been missold in the wrong way, which isn't legitimate. So again, you may find that code works internally. There's then a process. There is then a process that kicks off to try and understand where those keys came from, why, and how do we understand where it comes from. So because we lean on the benefit of doubt for the customer that bought it, it probably becomes more painful for us and for some of you, but it's the right thing from my point of view from a customer. So we follow it through, and then we have changed a number of routes the last few years in terms of how we restrict those keys and how we control them. So there have been, as I say, we can't go into details, but there have been a number of things that have changed in the last few years as a result of where this has happened and the feedback that we get. So often we'll get the feedback from Dave and the team in terms of key customers to go and look at where the key for us is where people are purchasing it from, and those are the ones that we then follow up on. So it may well be that it's a mislicensed key as opposed to truly non-genuine. They're still important to us because obviously we want to make sure that the partners that we work with, like everyone on the call here, makes the right margin out of the product and sells the right thing. We will struggle to always shut down everybody, but there are lots of efforts that go on in terms of how we set up in the first place, how we sell the keys, and now how we track them. The more we get to digital, the more ability we have to follow those through.
Okay, well, I think that one answers that. I think a lot of the questions coming through now regarding Windows S seems a little bit pointless. I must admit, we do get a lot of people with this one where we have to disable the S mode. Basically, they seem, why does it exist? Basically, why is there a Windows S mode or S version? Should I say?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So it came mainly, and this is where it started from, in terms of if you think of first PC for kids at school and stuff like that, Windows S mode on those entry devices was set up basically for two reasons. One is we wanted to make sure that on those specifications of devices that they were running in the most effective way from a Windows point of view. Obviously, if you get some of those devices that S mode is on, they're relatively low spec. They are set up for that first PC type. So it was, how do we manage that and make sure that users on those devices get a good experience and can follow it through in terms of that they get the right battery life, that they get the right storage and memory, and that it doesn't shut off. So S mode was more for that. How do we make sure that particularly young people, first PCs, don't get to places where maybe parents wouldn't want them to get to? So it's much more of that, trying to make sure that the device is good, works efficiently, and there's an element of control from a parent's point of view in terms of the ability to download apps that may not be the right sort of apps for the children, or could then be installing apps that would cause security issues on those devices. So that's where it came from, and that's why you see it, and that's why you'll still see it, because it's trying to make sure that we give the option. Obviously, the option is there is to turn out of S mode if somebody's comfortable and wants to do that, but it's the performance of the device and the experience for the customers that's key for us, and that's why on those specific specification devices that's why that tends to come as standard.
Okay, that's very good. Just to let you know, guys know, someone was asking, I think it was Paul was asking, where do you go to report? I've just put the link in. Sorry, I put two links in. One was from Facebook, and it ends up making about 10,000 characters long link. But I'll put the other one in. Where would people report it to if, let's just say, they weren't a VIP customer? Because you have to be a VIP customer to use that link, because you have to log in.
So you can register if you're not, to be honest, and it takes a few minutes to register. But if you want, you can just message us, send an email through to sales@VIP, send an email through to me, dave.evans@vapcomputers.co.uk. Message anyone at VIP, and we'll get us to the right place.
Okay, sounds pretty good. One of the things, obviously, I know you guys are not in the development team or whatever and designing it, but when the Windows S mode, I think it would be a good choice when someone's first started the machine the first time. It asked them, do you want it in S mode or do you want it in the other mode? It would be a better choice. Then you just have to have one version, and then it gives you the option, which one do you want? Rather than people getting confused when they get a new computer and they can't install any of the programs. But we've come across that a few times, and we go, yeah, well, I bet they've bought a cheap machine which has got S mode on it, which is usually the case. So, right, so let's go to some of these preset questions I've got, or should I say came in before. Let's have a look. Let's go. Okay, so Richard Tower Forth is saying, well, he says he's got a decent question. I think we'll decide if it's a decent question, Richard. But can they drop the create a Microsoft account madness? I think this is the bit where obviously you sign up, which I think we've just spoke about that, to be honest with you, briefly. So I think it's one of those things. I think we're going to get stuck with it, to be honest, and it's only going to get more prevalent in the future. Martin's asking, right, are they going to drop the specs for the CPU for Windows 11? So apparently he's tried to install some on 8th gen laptops, and it fails on the CPU check. I don't know if that's something you can specifically answer, where it being a one-off case, but
yeah, I don't know the full specs of that device. All we can. It's probably not going to change anytime soon in terms of the specs that Diana went through earlier and shared on the screen. It would be just a question of following the PC checker first to make sure whether it has the ability to run it or not. Would be the advice that we give. Obviously, it's the experience that's key for us. So we probably, at this point, wouldn't drop any of the specification requirements.
Right, that sounds pretty good. Right, next question's actually from myself. Okay, this first one from myself. So, right. So, and this is to do with environmental friendliness, or however you want to put it, is obviously Windows 11, well, should I say Windows 10 comes to its end of life in 2025. So that's what, 3 years down the line. So if everyone, obviously only machines up to probably 3 or 4 years old at the moment, or even at the time, they'll be 7, 8 year old, a lot of these machines are still working machines. They're absolutely fine machines to use and so forth, and you're basically forcing people to upgrade to a new version of Windows, and obviously they can't do that on the machine because it's too old, so they've got to go out and buy new ones, and basically getting rid of loads, and there's going to be millions for the amount of people who use Windows, of these machines which are just basically going to go to landfill. Can't there be some sort of extension on Windows 10 so people can use these, rather than people having to download something like Chromium or Linux to make them useful? Because you're basically going to be chucking away, I'm guessing, a good few billion computers in 3 years' time, which are perfectly fine. Who wants to answer that one?
One second, just
can we go back to the other questions? It's a completely fair question. I don't think the policy is anything different to what we've had before. And I think if you look at the way tech trends work, there's not many that we see after 7 years. I can't share data that we see internally, but after 7 years, most people have already upgraded their devices and gone through. And it's not just laptops. You look at how often do you upgrade your phone, how often do you upgrade lots of other tech devices with the movements that go forward. That's not an excuse. I think that's just a fact of when people upgrade. What you will see, and what we already do with a number of partners as Microsoft, obviously everybody may have seen, we have the whole thing within Microsoft to get net zero within the next decade, and a key part of that is working with our partners in our ecosystem to how we manage that. So from purely from a sustainability, we're working with a lot of partners in terms of how does that come back, how do those devices get refurbished and then put through in terms of those aren't going to landfill as we go forward. So sustainability is a really big piece for Microsoft. As I say, we have the intention, and last stats that I saw that we published externally was that we were well on track to be net zero by the end of the decade, and we keep bringing that forward. Anything that we do for ourselves, we have requirements on some of our key partners to be the same. So it really is key for Microsoft to work through that. We have a whole team that look at it in terms of how we do it. We have, I think, one of our data centers is now fully run by solar, so it is already net zero. And as I say, we work through the ecosystem, and then we work through with partners, refurbishers. We have a big refurbished business that we will continue to work with and invest in to make sure those devices can be then turned around and used in whichever format is needed in the future.
Okay, so I can understand that to a certain point of view, but I still personally think that chucking away a lot of machines isn't the best idea, to be honest with you, especially because a lot of these older machines, when they are getting to 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, are usually used in deprived areas, for charities, and even in lesser developed, or what the politically correct wording is these days, countries. You just need to look at our friend in Russia. He's still running Windows XP, for example. He might need some support before he presses any buttons he shouldn't do. But basics is obviously there's lots of people who do use a lot of refurbished technology, and they rely on it. A lot of countries just can't afford to go out and buy a brand new Windows 10 machine, and they rely on the second-hand stuff. So I think having in my opinion, making people basically choose if they have a secure machine or not, because you're basically saying, well, if you don't have a secure machine by going to Windows 11, you've got to stick with Windows 10, which is not secure anyway. So you're basically giving them a choice of not secure or not secure, because they haven't got a choice of obviously spending that sort of money. So, but that's my view, and I'm guessing from the chat a few other people have commenting very similar. Not that I'm not trying to attack you guys or anything, but I'm just basically saying our point of view from resellers as well as people who review products. What was that, Dave?
Previous generations, Phil, there is a bit of overlap. So I know obviously Microsoft aren't going to say, yeah, we're going to extend the support, but if you look back at when Windows 7 went end of life, it did actually get extended slightly based on user numbers. Their original planned end of life date got extended with additional support. They also do things on a larger scale. So the NHS was a great example where it was still running Windows XP for I think at least 2 years after the end date. And what they did was they worked with Microsoft to continue to get security support after that as specific updates for that agency. I know they do it with governments as well. So on a larger scale, Microsoft do work to make sure that those areas that don't get secure, can't update or can't upgrade, can still have secure systems. But it is like you're right. It's not a clean cut. It can never be a clean cut because of the nature of our industry, and certain parts of the world aren't going to Windows 11 when Northern Europe primarily will be. It's just the nature of the industry.
Okay, that's fine. I think a lot of people are used to, obviously, for example, today, you can install, as who was it who said, was it Carl? You can install Windows 10, no problem, on a Core 2 Duo, which is, God, I don't think they've been around for, 14 years sort of thing. So you sort of a lot smaller limiting on the actual ability of usually being able to go back 2 generations and upgrade them, where now it's basically, unless you've got pretty much Windows 10, you're no luck, to be honest with you, unless you go around certain ways to get around it, shall we say. Right, before we start a fight, let's get on to the next question. So again, I'm going to be asking all the questions people have asked, so let's have a look what we've got next. Windows watermark or Windows 11 watermark, is it happening? Is it happening now? So, for example, if people have got putting it on a machine what's not in the right specifications, shall we say, or doesn't meet the minimum specs, is that actually going to start popping up soon?
It's a great. I actually don't know. Is my honest answer to that question. But we will probably need to go away and check and come back on that one. That's one that we haven't come across up till now with Windows 11.
Okay. Another one to ask to go with that one, so probably best you write it down and email me after the show or whatever once you know what's what, is obviously if, let's just say someone has sold a machine with Windows 11 on and it doesn't meet the specifications of TMP2 or whatever, or the CPU, is there a way of reporting the reseller, for example? A bit like you reporting non-genuine software, are you going to be able to report people installing Windows 11 on non-compatible machines? I'm stumping you now, aren't I?
That's a great question.
Well, you know, I'm trying to figure out in my head whether it's possible to install it on a device that won't cope with it. I guess if you're,
I'll tell you now, the answer is yes, you can.
You can, yeah, I know you can as well.
I don't know that we have anything specific set up to report that. We would love to know it. So I would suggest maybe we can chat with Dave whether we can flag it separately in the reporting that they already do for us, to say that we would want to know, we would want to follow up and understand who's doing it and why, and that we would follow it up in the same, not the same way that we would do a non-genuine piece, but at least be able to be aware to have the conversation with the relevant partner. So I don't know whether it truly fits into the pieces that we already do with VIP and Dave, but it would be follow that route, report it, and then we would then look to follow up.
Okay, sounds pretty good. I think the common one where we see that issue happening a lot at the moment is the likes of eBay and stuff like that. You'll see like a 4th gen machine which is clearly not supported, and they're selling it with Windows 11 on, and it's like, come on now.
Yeah. Sorry, and just to be clear, just for my understanding, because this is useful info for us as well. It's stated that it's got it on it, or that they've already installed it on, and then it will just not work.
It's on and working, basically.
Okay.
So I don't know how they've licensed that, if they're using genuine or not or whatever, but they are putting it on older machines, basically. It is possible, hence why they're doing the watermark. Obviously, if it wasn't possible, you wouldn't need to do a watermark, so it's got to be possible. So, right, let's go on to another question. So let's have a look. Can we get marketing for Windows 11, like point of sales materials? It's hard to sell something with no like marketing support. So can they get some posters for the store, or maybe even digital things, or free pens and mugs, or whatever it is that they want?
So you can get point of sale stuff through VIP Club. So if you ever chat to us about what sort of things you're interested in, I'll work with our marketing team to get you stuff that you're interested in. Make sure, and VIP have already sent out POS to some of our partners for the Windows 11 launch. But obviously we do that at least once a half, if possible once a quarter. We'd like to refresh people's displays and make sure we're touching all the customers with the right support. So yeah, just get in touch if you definitely want some posters in your shop, some flyers. Pens, I know people tend to get loads of pens. I don't know if they actually use them, but yeah, if you really want pens, let us know. We'll get some Microsoft pens.
I've got a filing cabinet full of pens. Let's put it that way. And I've not come across a way to actually sell a product, buy a free pen, to be honest with you. It's like, yeah, please buy a £1,000 computer. You can have this free pen. Never really worked for me, that one. Right. Okay. So next question I've got is from Gav Powell. Okay. Right. Okay. When is Microsoft going to admit it has no interest in preventing piracy anymore? I'm sorry, I have to ask these questions. Every week there are adverts on Groupon, etc., offering Office and Windows license for pennies, while traders are forced to pay more than 10 times that amount or risk losing their business. Telling people it might not be genuine hardly matters when the software install and activates just the same. Either stop the pirates or drop the price. I don't care which. And that was from Gav Powell. Okay, so
that ties into the previous conversation, right? It's a fair comment, you know. For us, it's frustrating as well, right? As a distributor, it's very frustrating, and I appreciate it's really frustrating when you're seeing competitors or when you're seeing these pricing. You want to. I know that most people in businesses want to be official, want to be genuine, want to work with vendors like Microsoft. But when you're seeing people doing these shady things, you're like, how can I say no to it? How can I compete with it? And particularly the way Microsoft have to operate, Microsoft legal team operate in a certain way. They can't publicize it. They don't want to do big, newspaper spreads saying these are the businesses we dealt with. That's just not how they work. But it is. I appreciate the frustration. I share some of the frustration myself. All I can say is they are genuinely hand on heart doing something about it in the background, and there are lots of actions being taken. And it is a bit whack-a-mole, but over time it is getting better. Like I know what it was like even 2 years ago. It was a lot worse. So it is just keep pushing it, keep telling us about it. We'll keep pushing Microsoft. We're one of the louder voices to Microsoft saying, please sort this out, please fix it, because we work with you guys to make sure that, and we know it's a top priority for anyone who works with a small business. When it's got a high street store and it's got a PC repair store, we know it's a vital part for you guys to be competitive. So we're going to keep pushing it, but keep pushing us, keep shouting at us so that we keep shouting at Microsoft.
Okay, that's fine. I'll let you do the shout, and then Dave, you can keep shouting at them. Right, okay. So Next thing is something I've noticed actually regarding obviously these licenses, what you see, and I don't know if Microsoft's checking into it, but if you watch a lot of YouTube or any other media these days, a lot of influencers have affiliation accounts with a lot of these CD key places. So especially mainly for the younger audiences who watch them, they're getting these things pushed in their face all the time. So I know a lot on there. Obviously, we're on YouTube. I get about 3 or 4 emails a day saying, hey, can you advertise our CD keys on your videos and reviews and stuff? Obviously, I don't. I always always go genuine, always get it from a distributor. At least you know where it's coming from. And I'll still stand by that, even though I have got the questions and everything's not 100%. I'll always say, get it from a distributor, if it's VIP or whatever, because if anything does go wrong, you can then turn around and blame the distributor. Which they're there to supply you the stuff and proper stuff. So yeah, I'll always say that. But one of the things we are finding, as I said, these influencers, as they're called, don't get me wrong, I'm cast as one as well, apparently, but these influencers are basically making commission off of them. Basically, they'll go to abcdcdkeys.com or whatever it's called, and basically every time they send one of their 1 million viewers over, they're getting commission on it. And it's also on review websites. We've seen it before. Some of the really big ones, they advertise them on there as well and have affiliations with them. It just gets a little bit annoying, especially for the younger market when you're trying to sell stuff to them. So I'm just wondering if Microsoft are looking into the influencers and, let's say, reviewers like myself, to make sure they are promoting the correct items or sending people to look at the correct things.
I don't know specifically. I wouldn't have thought directly to implement. Let's say our main thing is always who is the supplier of the keys. So those would be where we would focus our attention firstly, in terms of understanding the supplier of those keys and following up through the processes that we have that we went through earlier, not necessarily directly to the influencers in the main, would be my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. A blind spot from me, actually. I hadn't thought about it. So if anyone sees any, or you send yourself, chuck them on to me. I'll put my email address on my thing for you. But send it over to me, and I'll make sure that we look into it, because like Justin says, maybe not dealing with the influencers directly, but the people who are offering them the support in the first place are the ones that we can look at.
Right, okay, let me just paste Dave's email address in there. There we go. And also I'll put in the place where you can report if you're not a VIP customer as well, in the chat as well. And thank you, Cheryl, who's hiding in the background, for that. So, right, we don't want to make this a total show about piracy. The next one is going to be about pricing. So basically the pricing is, let's say this one came in, we build custom PCs and laptops and sell them to public and businesses. If we build a budget computer for, say, £200-300, and then we have to pay £100 for Windows, which makes that software cost 1/3 or 1/4 of the bill, depending on the price, how can we compete against the likes of HP that sell a laptop for less than £190? Not only does it come with Windows, it also comes with Office 365 Personal. If I had to buy all that, it would cost me over £150. You're not telling me HP spends just £40 on the hardware, and that's not including profit. Okay, yes, it may have Windows S mode on it, but that can easily be disabled. You're not telling me they pay the same price as us. I understand they buy in bulk, but that's not fair on independents, as there's no way we can buy 10,000 licenses in one go. Out of breath after that one.
The answer to that is they are buying in bulk. They're buying. I mean, HP. I'm sure you can imagine how many Windows licenses HP buy. So they are buying huge amounts. The only thing we can say is, you're not going to get the same bulk discount as HP. What VIP are trying to do for the small independents is we have a rebate. So we have a VIP partner program for small independent customers. Every copy of Windows you buy through VIP, you get a 3% rebate every month. That's paid to you every month. Currently, that program runs till June. We'll hopefully extend it indefinitely, but it's dependent on Microsoft. So keep an eye on Justin's face there. But yeah, so we're basically working on I appreciate that's not going to be the same level of discount that HP are getting, but it is some support that you don't get through the distributors. And that's what we're trying to do. We try and make sure your price is competitive in the first place, but additionally, we also try and make sure you are also getting that additional 3 points, which is like £2.50, £3, depending on whether it's home or pro. And that can add up over the course of, that's for the first 75 units every month you get that. If you're over 75 units, it's 1.5% on every additional unit over that. But it renews every single month. So if you're buying 150 units a quarter, obviously you get 3%.
Okay, so that's something interesting to know. I didn't know you did that, so that's definitely interesting. So, right, I've just noticed what time it was. I didn't even realise it was that time. So it's about 9:30 already, so we're about half an hour running over. So we'll give it 10 minutes if you guys are all right with that. Just go through a few basic last things just to make sure. Let's have a look. Okay, so this is a good one. This is about certificate of authority stickers. Okay, so the COA keys. Why are we supposed to put COA stickers on devices we make when the likes of Dell and Lenovo do not? And that goes for any of the big guys, I suppose. Anyone?
Not specific, but obviously the way that we transact with them in terms of them buying, purchasing and loading the Windows keys on those devices is very different. It's just the process of how they get the software onto their devices is different, hence why we know that when it's coming out of their factories with that process. Whereas if somebody's building something locally, whether it's here, in many other markets, it's not clear where that is coming from, so hence the need for the COA at that phase. It's because we have the direct link with the factories there.
Okay, I think that pretty much covers that one. One thing I would suggest about the COA keys would be to think of a different means or a different way, because one issue we do custom laptops. Where do you stick it? You stick it on the bottom, the code gets ripped off or rubbed out. You stick it on the top, it's in the way people peel it off. Obviously, they don't want a big window stick. Well, it's not a big, but a red little sticker stuck on the lid of the laptop or whatever. So something, obviously, for you guys to think about.
I've seen some people put it on, where you can do the memory expansion slot and unscrew. I've seen people put it on the inside of that.
Yeah. Well, if you're putting it in on the inside of that, what's the point of putting it on the machine in a way, because then no one knows it's there? We used to do it underneath the battery compartments, but obviously laptops, they've gone those now, so they're obviously built in. So that's something to go on there. Right, there is 100 million other questions that have come in, so I don't think we're going to be able to go through them all. A lot of them are down to the piracy or genuine, what's genuine or not, and I don't think that's something that's going to be sorted overnight. Obviously, stuff is happening in the background. We just don't know about it. But we do see, and I must admit, I've seen it quite a few times, places what have been going for a few years, which are still chucking out these codes, and they've been reported many a times. But obviously, I'm not the police, so it's not up for me to figure out what's going off there. Right, okay. Let's just go round through Dave, Justin, and Diana's final thoughts and stuff. Is obviously, yes, we all want to use genuine software and so forth. Just give me some final thoughts. We are hopefully planning on another show in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Let's just hope they actually want to be on the show after me talking about piracy all night. But so if you have got any more questions, guys, we will have them on hopefully in a few weeks or a couple of months' time. We've got to just confirm dates on that one. They'll probably block me now completely on their email after this show. Right, okay, let's start off with you, Dave, first. So, Dave, what's your views and what's your final thoughts?
As we said, any non-genuine stuff that you see anywhere, please let us know. Let me know directly. You can report it on our link. We do work with Microsoft closely on it. We will keep pushing them on it. I do share your frustrations. I do appreciate all your frustrations on it. But do keep pushing us on it, because it's a big issue, and it's not something to be solved overnight. But we are going to work to get it solved. And the other thing is VIP partner program. You don't have to do anything except buy a copy of Windows to qualify. So be a VIP customer, buy coffee windows from us, and that's it. And you'll just accrue your rebate naturally over the course of it, and you get it paid within the first 5 days of the following month. So it's not like a massive delay in your rebate either. And if you want any details of it in writing, email sales@vip-computers.co.uk or speak to your VIP account manager about it.
Right, okay, thank you very much for that. Next up, stuff popping up all over the place when it's not supposed to. Here we go. Let's go to Justin. What's your final thoughts?
Yeah, to Dave, to Phil, yourself, and everybody, thank you for the time. Thank you for everybody who's tuned in. It's really interesting for us to get the feedback and to get the questions. Hopefully, I know a chunk of the questions were around genuine, but hopefully we've been able to answer some. And hopefully with the piece that Diana went through, we've been able to show we continue to invest in Windows. We want to make sure that it's a good experience for all, and that we're improving it as we go through over the years. And with the new features that you'll find more about within the next month, hopefully it will showcase exactly what we're trying to do to make sure that it's the right operating system for whether you're a consumer or a commercial customer of ours, to get the best experience out of the devices that people spend their money on. So thank you for the time is the bit that I'd say, and or thank you for the loads of the questions and the feedback.
All right, thank you for that, Justin. Let's go over to you, Diana. So what's your final thoughts? You might want to unmute yourself. Oh, you're muted for some reason. 1 second, let me unmute you this end. Try again.
There you go. I try my best. I will blame it on you this time, Phil. I just wanted to say that for me, this has been really refreshing, even though we're very much aware of a lot of those objections, and I promise you we work really, really hard to overcome. But I cannot stress this enough. We're a global brand, and we provide millions of devices and operating systems for people out there. Of course, there will be bad intended people who want to compromise that and they don't obey by the rules. But we do put a lot of effort in. And also to give you kind of peace of mind with the Windows 10, Windows 11 upgrade and all of that. We're not pushing anyone to do anything. We're not going to click a button and all the older operating systems are going to explode suddenly. But it is our responsibility as a global brand to keep our users on the latest security, not because we want to, but because, again, there are very bad intended people out there who compromise security on a daily basis. So we're trying and we are listening to everything that's happening across the board. And we put in a lot of work behind closed doors to fix all of those issues. And you guys communicating to us and letting us know where to fix our efforts will, of course, improve this effort. But for me, this has been really refreshing to understand where the problems are specifically and how we can go about some of them. Thank you so much for that.
That's no problem. I'd just like to say thank you for you guys for joining. Thank you, Dave, Justin, Diana. I'm glad you were able to join us. I know it's probably seemed like a little bit of a roasting at some points there for some of the questions coming in, but it shows that you're willing to start working or at least work with the community and so forth, whether it's Tech for Tech, sales or independence. And that's part of the way. So once obviously these guys, obviously you can see they're all thanking you for basically being on tonight, and you've given them plenty of information. I just say hi to Kunal. Apparently, I think it was Portugal he was saying earlier on. I missed his thing, but he's on holiday I think at the moment. So hope you enjoy your holiday. But anyway, I digress. So basics is thank you guys for coming on and actually putting up with me as your host, asking these awkward questions. I hope you do come on to another show in the future. I do believe you're going to be attending the TechMax event in June. I don't know if it's you guys yourselves who will be attending or someone else, but we do have the TechMax event in June on the 24th, where obviously Microsoft or someone's going to be there to answer all your questions if you want to talk to them in person. So I'm guessing there'll be a big crowd around your booth probably asking you about piracy questions if anything's to go by tonight's show. But I'd just like to say thank you. So yes, I'm just hearing from VIP that they will be on the VIP stand, so that's fine. So yeah, I was pretty sure you were there, but I didn't want to talk for yourselves, even though I booked it in. I've seen that I've been that busy booking people in the last few days. It's been crazy. But anyway, so if you guys do want to come to TechMax on the 24th of June, you can go to our website, which is techmax.com. oh God, start again, which is www.techmax2022.co.uk. I'll put it on the screen there. You can also get on via the Tech for Tech website as well, and you can book tickets there. They're £1, just £1, and you get to meet up to 50 different vendors there. You've seen all the names. We've got Microsoft, we've got VIP, we've got all the other names. I won't put them on at the moment because I don't want to overshadow who's on the show, but you can check them out on the website. We've got a lot of them there, and there's going to be up to 500 guests for the daytime, 180 of you for the evening as well. We're going to have quite a few prizes and different bits and bobs throughout the day, as well as a few talks and stuff, which we're just in the process of confirming with a few people. So it's going to be a decent evening, and we're going to get a few of the guys who have been in the chat tonight. I know Mr. Jennings there will be at the event, Mr. Computer Repairman, and a few others who have been on there. He's actually got a stand as well, promoting his way to get you guys promoted on the internet. So, right, so thank you again, guys. Thank you for putting up with us for an hour and 40 minutes, basically, a lot longer than we expected. And hopefully we'll do this again. We will have a show next week, 8 p.m, Thursday, 8 p.m. We haven't got an official statement yet about who's going to be on, but we will have something going off next Thursday at 8 p.m. And tune in then, and you'll get us. And if you do want to join Tech for Techs, sorry if I keep going on, but if you do want to join Tech for Techs, go to techfortechs.co.uk/join. You can join up there. It'll take you to the Facebook community, 1,350 plus resellers, MSPs in the UK there. Anyone can join. You guys from Microsoft can join if you want to. You can ask all your piracy questions there if you want. But feel free. You're free to join. Everyone's free to join there as long as you are in the tech community, and make sure you fill the questions in, because if you don't, you're not getting in. Simple as that. Right. We'll call it that. Again, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, VIP. Thank you, Microsoft. Thank you, Dave, Justin, Diana, and should we say David, who's hiding in the background, as well as Cheryl as well. But I'll have a word with them in a few seconds. If you guys just want to just stay on just after I end the show, and we'll have a quick chat then. So good night, everyone. We'll see you all next week, 8 p.m. on Thursday. Thanks again. Good night, everyone.